Good morning.
What are we all doing out there? I had to go for this hat today, and it took my library vibe down. It's like I'm in a library lounge over here. Need a cigar. Who's got something good to share? What we got going good in our worlds? Well, for me this morning, it is my salon tingle. I was telling my wife I have a infatuation with tea tree products, and she got some new shampoo and conditioner, and I typically shower right before this call, and my hair is still a tingling. Feels like I just left the salon, but it was done at home. So I am grateful for some tea tree in my scalp. Um, I guess if nobody else has anything today, I wanted to, and I'll put. Let me see if I can put this in the chat. I'll share that with everybody. Today, I wanted to chat. I know it's Thanksgiving holiday and a time to be grateful and thankful for stuff. I wanted to cover a topic today around forgiveness. Um, I've had something. I've had a lot of different things over the years that have happened that's kind of hurt, and you deal with it in different ways. And something that happened just recently was a little bit more impactful because it hurt others around me, and was really struggling with it. And I wanted to just kind of dive deep into this. It's not something that I've really spent a lot of time on. It just whatever naturally comes my way. I've been a pretty forgiving individual, just kind of move on, move forward. Not really a emotions kind of guy, I would say. Um, but this was an interesting topic. The clip that I shared with you is from it's a I did it on a podcast, but that's like their YouTube version. But they run a cool show called How Stuff Works. And typically it's like weird stuff, like, I don't know, how do they make a baseball, or how do they, how do factories work where they're bottling and canning, or they just have weird stuff on their show. It's sometimes interesting. Um, and when I use Perplexity to like give me some episodes of stuff where I could just go a little bit deeper on forgiveness, their episode was something that came up. So I listened to like a general like social psychologist episode, which was pretty good, and then some other lady that I thought was a little wacky. But this one was good. It was an hour, so it's a little longer. I go 1.5 speed on everything, and it just kind of talked about the different phases and how everybody just um, can process this stuff different. That there really is no, this is how you do it. I think you got to kind of do it on your own terms. And I think, given this time of year, maybe you're going to see some family members or see some people that you haven't seen in a while. And maybe there's still some hurt there or something. And I thought maybe, sharing something like this, if it would give you guys an opportunity to dig in a little bit, might just make that experience go a little bit better. I think we're obviously on this planet for a very short period of time, and living with a grudge or resentment, or it's just not healthy. And I think that is what this episode gets into quite a bit, is just the science behind it. There's enough studies out there that like holding on to this stuff is just, it's no bueno. Um, and kind of letting things play out the course, not going on somebody else's schedule, going on your schedule. And really, if you can get to that place, how much easier it'll be mentally, physically, literally physically, for your own body moving forward. I think we've all kind of heard the story of, some situation where somebody was pretty wronged, right? And the one they use in the episode is a woman who is driving drunk, hits an individual. Individual, I believe, kind of goes through her windshield. She drives home with this individual in her windshield, parks her car in the garage, doesn't tell anybody. And this goes on for a couple of days. She tries to get him out, can't get him out, and the guy eventually dies. Um, and doctors have later said that had she just brought him to the hospital, he most likely would have lived. It would have been fine. And she ends up telling the story at party down the road, and that person that she tells it to turns her in, and she gets like 50 years to life, and um, the I think it was the son of the individual ends up forgiving her and the family publicly in the courtroom. She was somebody's daughter, so he just had a message of peace for that family that lost their daughter, and um, that's just deep to have that kind of hurt, but be able to get to that place where you can release it is that's powerful, man. Like that is an individual that has some bright future ahead to be able to get to that level. So it was just interesting to hear the spectrum, and that it doesn't necessarily have to be like forgive and wish this individual that they go conquer the world. Maybe it's just you let it go, and so it's just peace for you. Or maybe it is like you want to champion that person, right? Maybe something's going on in that person's life when they said that thing or did that thing that that they're just not in a good place, and that you're hopeful that maybe they can get the help they need to get to wherever they need to get to, or who knows what these different situations are. So um that's my little bit of a rant today. I thought it was a really good episode. I had never really gone deep on this subject, so I kind of want to maybe just turn the floor over. Maybe if anybody has an experience to share or something around this, maybe if you've gone deep on this, or maybe you've been through the process on something, and you wanted to share if you think it would help. Otherwise we can just move on to some real estate today. What are we hearing? Go ahead, Deborah.
Good morning. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that. That was, I'm sure it hits home with a lot of people. I can't be the only one on here that it really, touches and hits home. So I just want to say thank you for that. I can't really speak of my personal situation because it's too emotional for me. And maybe that's what other people on here are dealing with, It could be just very emotional. So, but I just want to say thank you
You bet.
for sharing that.
Enzo, I know you got some deep hurt for those Yankee players. It's okay. We can let it
It
go.
is way too early for that type of to be
Buddy,
throwing smoke
buddy,
my
you
way
can
like that.
you can forgive, man.
No,
You
I
can
can't.
forgive.
No, there's no forgiving or forgetting ever.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, this topic unfortunately hits home for me in so many ways. I had a trifecta of betrayal from my businesses to my own mother to my ex-wife, who I have two of my kids with. And it. So when people go through, these things where you're trying to forgive, I had like a 3x in my life over the last 9 years, and so I'm definitely going to check out this video that you posted. But one thing I can just share, and I'm not ashamed to say, is my wife's like, you know what? Go talk to somebody. So I did that for less than a year, and it works. There's some trauma in, my wife's side of the family. They've been through it. They did therapy. They're like, just do it. It works. And I'm like, I'm not that guy. So I'm like, whatever. Finally, to please my wife, I'm like, I'll do it. It's like I'm desensitized to it now. You get to a certain point where all of a sudden you're like, I don't think we need to meet every week, once a month. Then it's like, I don't think we need to meet at all. So the process does work. And I know a lot of people go through devastating things, betrayal, loss, all that stuff. But if you seek the right therapist, I don't know what it is. It's just talking, getting it out of your system to a stranger who doesn't judge you. And then all of a sudden one day you're at peace. Now, there's certain, unfortunately, I don't think I can ever forgive certain people because it's just bringing toxicity back into my life. So it's actually been more peaceful with them out of my life, even unfortunately my own mother. But I tried, I can sleep at night knowing that I, for 9 years, tried my part, tried to squash the things, but the other person doesn't want to, and they want to keep doing, excuse my French, shitty things to your family. And you just have to, at some point, you have to get rid of the toxicity. People, it doesn't matter if it's your friends, family, co-workers, whatever. If someone's bringing you down, you got to stay far away from them. And that's just my 2 cents.
No, I mean, so they talked about a couple of these things, and they talked about that the forgiveness really, luckily for the person that was hurt, is really about inner peace, and it has nothing to do with that other party. So you don't need the other party to be complicit, right? Because a lot of times, like you said, Steve, it's not going to happen, right? They're not in a place where they're ready for that. So, luckily, and you can just get to that, and it sounds like you're there, of just let it go, right? I've let it go. I've got my inner peace, right? I think that's a good description of what forgiveness really is. It's just about getting to a place of inner peace for yourself, and then being able to move forward and go, hey, I don't need them to change at all. I'm good. So thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, one last thing is a quote that someone told me, and it definitely hits home, is when you're harboring this resentment and anger, it doesn't hurt those people, it hurts you. So when I see, the other side, mad and bitter, I'm like, I'm at a point of peace, like you said. I'm at peace. I can die tomorrow and know that I did everything humanly possibly to do my best and mend fences, and it's just one of those situations. And it's like, you're mad, that doesn't hurt me anymore, that just hurts you. Like, keep being mad if you want, keep hurting yourself, but you just got to get rid of that grudge holding, because once you get to that other side, you just notice everything in your life just gets better.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And if somebody on the call is struggling, like, to me, like, finding the help would seem like it'd be a difficult task. And there's a company out there called BetterHelp. I think it's just like betterhelp.com, where you can align yourself with somebody. And I don't know if there's an interview process. I've never used it, but I've heard a lot of people say a lot of great things about it. So if you're on and you're struggling with something, check out that BetterHelp. Jen.
So, I just wanted to say that when I struggle with this, I feel like, honestly, the only thing that actually works is if I pray. And because I feel like when you're angry, um, you kind of, you can't, I mean, when you're praying, you're thinking about, all goodness, and when you're angry and all the feelings that come with that, especially if, you're feeling betrayal or whatever, it's just the opposite. So the only way to move forward for me anyway is like if I'm praying. And honestly, like, I could pray at home, but I feel like if I just walk in through like church doors, I automatically feel like I'm in a holy place. I truly do. It's just like a easier way for me to pray, but just calling upon God to help me, or if I ask him for his peace, I get it. And no matter what, even if I'm just dealing with something difficult, if I just ask for God's help, or to be pulled out of a bad place, it always works. And it's the only thing that seems to work for me. So, yeah. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks for sharing. And I know a lot of people are going to deal with it in a lot of different ways. And that is one way that works for a lot of people, for sure.
I just wanted to also say that boundaries, even though it may seem like, especially if it's a relative, that you shouldn't do this because you're related. We weren't meant to be, walked all over, and so it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to set boundaries. And I think the reason that it can be most difficult with family is because they know you to react in a certain way. And anytime you give somebody boundaries, it's just saying that, and they don't even need to know that you're giving them boundaries. You just need to say, I know that when this happens, this is going to happen. It makes me feel uncomfortable or interrupts my schedule with my kids or whatever. So you're just making the change so that it works for your life. And that's a really good, healthy thing. But I think that family in particular, they know you to behave a certain way or to react a certain way to the way they behave. So if you change that, they could get upset. But if they get upset, it's because it's like a temper tantrum from an adult because they're not getting
Yeah.
their way.
Yeah, family is definitely the most difficult one. They talked about it on that episode, and a lot of times it's what can make it even worse is you've got other family members saying and telling you that you should forgive your other family member, right? And forgiveness is not something that you got to come to it on your own terms and through your own process. It can't be forced upon you by others. That's not gonna work, right? So if you're in a position, that this is what their guidance was, where you've got family putting pressure on you to forgive another family member, you got to go through your own process. So, well, great shares around that. Let's do some real estate. What do people have? Somebody got something going on weird on a deal, or a question about a transaction, a client? I'm sure we all have clients that we may need to forgive or something. God knows our clients can be crazy. Nobody got anything going on? Now, why don't I'm going to just share something here. So I thought this was a good little tactic from Sharon. And I wanted to just play it and then we can talk about it a little bit. Let's see what we can do.
A mega open house. If you're not familiar with the mega open house, you do like a big taco truck or a big movie night or a jumping gym type thing, like a bounce house, and you're like, everyone's gonna come to this open house. And the client's like, wait a minute, you're gonna have an open house and tacos in front of my house, and that's what's gonna bring people here? Amazing. Instead, do this, Mrs. Klein. If people talk to you about like a mega open house or running open houses, etc., they're like, yeah. We do ours a little differently. We call it the 412 open house formula. By the way, I made up 412. You can do whatever you want. Give everything a name. We call it 412 because this is what happens 4 days prior. We do a Facebook ad, we door knock, we send email, we do a neighborhood courtesy knock. Cool. This is what happens on the day of. We do a video before, we boost the video, everyone register, we do a video after. This is what happens 2 days after. We do a second showing, we do text blitz, we do a follow-up. Now the client's like, wait a minute, they're going to do all this work for me, as opposed to, oh, she's going to call a taco truck. You think the taco truck is cool, but if I go to the appointment and you're going to get a taco truck, I'm going to destroy you by saying I'm going to do the 412 open house formula, right? Because this shows a process. This shows proof on the things that you're going to do.
What do we think? What did you hear in there and what resonated? Steve.
Something Lauren said the other day is, here's what I'm going to do for you. And that definitely resonates when you're saying you're providing your value, you're putting it forth. This is the value I'm bringing to you. And that's what your clients want to hear. They don't want to hear that you're just going to show up at their house, put a sign out front and hope people stop by. They want to know there's an action plan.
Yes. What else did we hear? Joel.
Yeah, spoke about having systems in place. When you show that you have systems in place, you show that you're number one, you're professional, and you have a plan to go forward with this. Putting a taco truck up, you just have a whole bunch of people that are hungry for tacos, and no one's going to put a bid on the house. So you want to draw the right clientele in, and not just people that are just going to walk in, take what they can, leave.
100%. What am I doing for you? Like Steve is saying. Joel is saying exactly, Sharon, one of the things that I've learned, I've been coaching with him kind of a little over 2 years now. The guy has a process for everything. If I say, hey, Sharon, I'm struggling with this, trying to do this at the brokerage, trying to do this on the team, let me show you my framework for that. It's unbelievable. He has systematized everything, and I'm a big believer in systems and process. And so when you go in and you have a system and a process and the other agent doesn't, huge advantage for you. Huge advantage. John.
I saw like branding opportunity. Where he used his like 412. We could utilize like the area codes, so like 781 or 978, and be the area code, realtor, and use those steps as a way of branding as well.
So one of the funniest things that I have around Sharon is he's always told me, if you're going to do something, if you name it, it'll be that much more successful. You gotta name it. So guess what he even has a framework for? How to name stuff. He literally has a process that he follows on how you come up with the name, right? So it was, we have a couple of PDFs that we give away as, agent attraction type of stuff on our website. And, I went through his naming process to come up with the names for that. It's not just like a PDF on how to grow your database. It's the networking playbook for agents, right? It just sounds way better. There's always a name to it. And I think you getting creative with whatever's going to work in your market, John, is an awesome idea. What else did we hear? What I heard is there's a lot of work that goes into an open house, right? When we talk about this is going to become a professionalized industry, the pros are going to actually do all of the stuff that he just mentioned in the 412 formula. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are showing up 15 minutes before the open house. They put one sign out front and they cross their fingers and they hope that because they threw it in the MLS and had some decent photos, it's just going to sell. And it might, but you've now wasted a major opportunity for you to go generate more business off of that listing that you worked so hard to get. 2025, one of the missions of what we're trying to do on this call and trying to help you guys to build your business is we need to generate more free business, right? We don't want to have to buy leads all the time. We want to build a business. In order to build a business, we got to have systems and process. And we get a listing that is an absolute asset. Please don't waste an asset like a new listing by showing up 15 minutes before and it sells, right? I think that's, the difference between a pro and an amateur is the amateur goes, I sold it, right? And the pro says, well, how much more business did you generate off of it? That's the difference, right? If all you did was sell the house, I think you've lost, and you've lost in a big way. So when you get these assets, right, let's do something with it. That's a lot of work, all of that stuff that he's got in that list. But it's going to generate more business for you. No doubt in my mind. What else? If when we first brought the mega open house concept to our market, I remember getting in trouble with the towns because of the number of signs that we were putting out, right? So we were having to try and figure out, we literally had a spreadsheet that said, hey, this town will allow you to do this many signs. This town's not going to allow it. This town's going to allow pointers. We had it all figured out, right? And we were grinding. And then things got easy. And agents aren't putting out 10 open house signs. I know they're not. And things are, they're not that easy right now. So do these extra things. Generate some free business for yourselves. It takes an extra 20 minutes maybe to drive around and put out the extra signs, 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after to pick it up. And maybe while you're putting it out or picking it up, maybe you have a couple more conversations. You bump into somebody, you talk to somebody, you know, who knows? Somebody stops you. Oh, where's it open? We're looking to buy something in town. You just never know. Questions? Thank you, Lauren. Do the thing, have the power. Do not the thing, have not the power. I don't know if that's a Tom Ferry original or not, but man, he says it a lot. All right, so we are not going to do this tomorrow. We're not going to do it on Friday. We'll be back at it on Monday. Anybody want to close us down? I know we had Jen close us out yesterday. Anybody else want to kind of share something or end us on a high note? All right. Well, I am, so grateful for this group. I hope you guys all have the absolute best Thanksgiving that you've ever had. I hope the sides are amazing. I feel like, does anybody really even like the turkey? Isn't it just more about the sides? I feel like turkey's just, I don't even know. That's why they created the sides, because the turkey's not that good. That's my 2 cents, but well, I really do appreciate you guys. I love being able to do this every morning. It wouldn't be fun if it was no audience and without all your input and banter and stuff like that. So let's come back supercharged on Monday, rest and relax, hopefully put a deal together, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. All right, take care.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.